everyone, and welcome to episode 44 of the Knitty Heather podcast. My name is Heather, and I'm coming to you from Kent, Washington, where I live with my husband Tom and our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel Pepper. This is my podcast where I chat all about my knitting, and I do have a little bit of crochet for you today. And I love to share about all of the wonderful makers, project bag makers, stitch marker makers, designers, yarn dyers, everyone that adds to the beauty of our fiber community. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy yourself. Welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really, truly appreciate it. If you would like to follow me, I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I would love to connect with you there. All of the yarn and patterns and accessories I talk about will be listed and linked in the description box below. Today is Friday, March 11th, 2022, and I have a lot to tell you about, so let's get started. Today I am wearing Hitchhiker by Martina Bem. This is a very famous, very popular one skein beautiful shawl pattern. It is mostly garter stitch and it has these pretty little teeth on the edges. It's a very simple pattern repeat and really shows off a beautiful yarn. The yarn I used for this was Knit Picks Stroll Tonal in the colorway Pacific Tonal. I'm not sure that they still are dyeing this particular colorway. I do think it was discontinued. I knit this probably going on 3 years ago, I bet. But it's so comfortable, so wearable, nice and warm, and definitely one of my all-time favorite shawl patterns. If you haven't heard of this pattern, I definitely encourage you to check out Hitchhiker by Martina Bem. Now on to some Happy Mail and stash enhancement. First is my skein from Crystal Skies hand dyed from her Witches and Wizards Harry Potter inspired monthly sock club. I get this on her 7525 ragdoll sock base. And for the month of February, it is the colorway Burning Day inspired by Fox the Phoenix in the second Harry Potter book. Look at those beautiful reds and purples with some black speckles. I cannot wait to make something very special out of this beautiful skein of yarn. Like I said, it is her 7525 superwash merino nylon base and a very, very generous 462 yards. Super squishy, super soft. Check out Crystal Skies hand dyed on Etsy. Next, I placed an order with Susan of Desert Vista Dyework. I was able to use a 30% off discount code from participating in her 7th annual monthly sock club last year. And so I ordered 4 new gorgeous skeins of yarn that I hope to knit up sometime within the next year or so. I think I kind of have an idea of what months I might be wanting to knit up these particular skeins, as I am participating in her knit along this year. So here are the 4 skeins I got. First, I got Winnie the Zombody Pooh. Really picks up the beautiful reds and golds of our friend Winnie the Pooh with the zombie stripes that she is famous for. Really excited to use this one. I think I might use this one sometime in the fall. I feel like these are kind of some nice fall colors maybe. Next, this is one of her Valentine's colorways called Convo Me, inspired by Conversation Hearts, the famous delicious little candies. Really love all the stripes that are gonna knit up in this colorway as well. I think I will probably knit this next January in preparation for next February. That's kind of my plan with this one. Next is the colorway Resolutions, and the inspiration picture she shows for this one are different colors of Post-its, like you're reminding yourself of New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year. So I am planning on maybe knitting this in December in preparation for January, the fresh start of a new year and new resolutions. So we will see about that. I know this is planning quite far in advance, but those are the ideas I have for these skeins. So far, don't hold me to them yet though, I might change my mind. And finally, this is called Holiday Wreath. I did get this one on her sparkle base, just for a little bit of extra pretty holiday sparkle. I love the red with this kind of turquoisey blue. I think this will knit up really nicely. And my plan for this is to knit it in November, so I have it ready to wear in December for Christmas this year. If you are a fan of self-striping yarn, definitely check out Desert Vista Dye Works. She has so many wonderful colorways inspired by all kinds of different things, and she usually puts out different colorways every month. So she's a very exciting dyer to follow. She always has something new in store for us. Once again, that was Desert Vista Dye Works. You'll see more from her later. Now on to my finished objects. First, I do have my February pair of Desert Vista Dye Works socks. This is in the colorway Mardi Gras. And I did the heel toe do-si-do pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. I'll show you what the pattern looks like a little bit better if I twist it around. It's a very fun zigzaggy pattern. And then it is plain stockinette on the back, so you do get kind of a rest half of a row every round, but it's not a complicated pattern anyway. I thought this looked really good with these beautiful purple, yellow, and green Mardi Gras stripes. I did make a few modifications to this pattern. The pattern actually is written for cuff down, but I did knit them toe up. I just cast on my regular wedge-shaped toe and then worked the pattern just going toe up, and it works out just fine. It just kind of makes the zigzags go the opposite direction, which I like them either way. So I did cast on my toe, worked up the foot and the leg. I did about 15 rounds of a 2x2 rib, which is another modification I made. In the pattern she called for a twisted rib, but I felt like doing a 2x2 rib this time. And then I did go back and pick up an afterthought heel. I'm pretty happy with how these have matched up. One of my goals this year is to not care so much about getting self-striping yarn to match up perfectly, but I just can't help it. It's so satisfying when they do line up really nicely, and it just makes it look a little more professional in my opinion. This was on her Sparkle Zen base, which is 75% merino, 25% nylon, and 5% stellina to give it a little extra sparkle. I thought this was a fun colorway to get on her sparkle. I'm not sure if that's coming through on the camera or not, but I absolutely love it. I will have to order some more of her sparkle base in the future. If you are looking for a good pattern to use with self-striping yarn, definitely I recommend this pattern 100%. It's so much fun, and it really just makes those stripes do a little extra something special. This is the Heel Toe Do-Si-Do Socks by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, knit up in Mardi Gras by Desert Vista Dye Works on her sparkle base. Next up is another pair of Valentine socks I was able to finish last month. This is Be Mine by Coloring Book Yarn. Super pretty reds and pinks and purples. Another excellent self-striping dyer, although I really don't know too much about Coloring Book yarns. Let me know in the description box below if she is still dyeing. I don't really see a whole lot from her on Instagram, but I'm not sure if I'm missing something, if she's got a different website or if she maybe has stopped dyeing yarn. Let me know if you know anything about Coloring Book yarn, or maybe she rebranded. I have no idea, but I do love this yarn. I did get it a number of years ago. I did just a plain vanilla sock. I did knit these toe up as well. I find that if I want to get my self-striping yarn to match up, it's easiest to do that if I start at the toe. I knit these toe up, about 50 rounds up the foot, and then I did do a fish lips kiss heel on these, which did match up fairly well. Not 100% perfect, but pretty darn well. And then I kept knitting up the foot and did about 15 rounds of a 2x2 rib on these as well. These Harry Potter sock blockers are from A Needle Runs Through It on Etsy. This is another kind of plumper 80-20 base. I really enjoyed working with this. Very soft, and it washed very, very well. I think this is going to be a really nice pair of socks to wear in the month of February for Valentine's Day. This is a plain vanilla sock with a fish lips kiss heel, knit up in the colorway Be Mine by Coloring Book Yarn. My next pair of socks is yet another Valentine's inspired pair. This is my first pair of colorwork socks that I have ever done using stranded Fair Isle colorwork. These are the Sweetheart Socks by Natalie of the Love and Stitches podcast, Knitty Natty. She just released this pattern last month and I was so excited to cast it on. It is a beautiful pattern with different Fair Isle motifs for each stripe down the leg. And then I really love what she did by adding just regular stripes down the foot. I think I am definitely going to use that concept to use up a little bit of minis in future sock projects. I just think that's so cute to just add a couple little stripes at the top and the bottom of the foot before you do the toe. In the pattern, she gives you directions for cuff down and toe up, but I did do these cuff down. I used my 9-inch circulars, which I thought would be best for the color work because I've never done color work with such a small circumference before. And so I'm really happy that I did that. I did 20 rounds of a 2x2 rib, and then she did have you increase the stitch count a little bit and then increase your needle size for the Fair Isle work, which I'm really glad because otherwise I don't think they would have fit. Because if you think about it, Fair Isle really is double thick, and so it makes things a lot tighter, which is a great tip anytime you are knitting color work, is to go up a needle size when you are doing the color work. Then things won't be so tight necessarily. I knit these with 20 rounds of a 2x2 rib. I did a fish lips kiss heel, and then the foot is just plain vanilla with these adorable little stripes. The yarn I used is the Sweetheart Sock set from Moonglow Yarn Co. And it was specifically dyed for this pattern, but it could be used for so many other pretty things as well. Inspired by the Sweetheart candies with all the pretty little colors. Absolutely loved how these colors came together. It's so bright and happy and fun. And I really like how it is set off with this lovely just cream neutral color that came as a 100-gram full skein with this set. I loved doing every single one of these beautiful colorwork motifs. None of them were too complicated at all. Actually, a really great introduction to doing little colorwork motifs in a sock. And another great idea would be you could always do whatever combination of these little motifs you liked if you wanted to kind of design and create your own pair of colorwork socks. These are the Sweetheart Socks by Knitty Natty, knit up in the Sweetheart Sock set by Moonglow Yarn Co. My next finished object is a pair of sleeping socks. This is the Learn to Knit Socks pattern by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits. This is just a very basic worsted weight cuff down heel flap and gusset sock pattern. Very basic construction. I did knit these cuff down with 12 rounds of a 2x2 rib. I do 30 rounds of the leg, the suggested heel flap and gusset, and then 35 more rounds down the foot before I do her wedge-shaped toe. The colorway I used is Buckbeak from Crystal Skies hand dyed on her bangle worsted base. This was a colorway from her Harry Potter inspired club last year, and I finally got around to knitting with it. Such pretty blue and black speckles. Really think it's perfect to represent Buckbeak the hippogriff from the third Harry Potter book and movie. I'm really excited to wear these. These are going to be so cozy. Her bangle worsted base is super soft. It is 100% superwash merino, and it knits up like a dream. This is the Learn to Knit Socks pattern by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits, knit up in Buckbeak by Crystal Skies hand dyed. My next finished object is a hat that I finished for my mother-in-law. This is the Musselburgh hat by Uzolda Teague. This is actually half of what it is. It's really a big football shape, and then you tuck one end into the other to make it double thick. I did knit this out of fingering weight yarn. The yarn I used is Hippo for Thanksgiving by Lolo Did It, and I believe it was on her everyday sock base. I love how these beautiful speckles really dispersed so evenly, so nicely. You cast on using a pinhole cast on the tip, increase, and then it's straight stockinette for a long time until you do your decreases. This is a very fun, relaxing vanilla pattern, and it does fit very well, being double thick, super comfortable, and super wearable. I would definitely love to cast on another hat using another beautiful skein of yarn. This is another great showing off one beautiful skein of fingering weight yarn kind of pattern. Really, really addicting to just keep knitting and knitting and knitting. And it's a very versatile pattern. She gives you stitch counts for knitting this depending on your gauge, from anywhere from a fingering to a worsted base. So there's lots of different options. You kind of just cast on, check your gauge, and she tells you how many inches to knit your really, really long tube. I did block this, which helped the stitches even out really nicely, and I'm excited to gift this to my mother-in-law. I should see her next month, so I'm hoping to gift it to her then. This is the Musselburgh hat by Uzolda Teague, knit up in Hippo for Thanksgiving by Lolo Did It. My last finished object is another colorwork project. I am part of the Love and Stitches membership, and last month in February, we focused on colorwork. So that's the reason I did those socks and that I did this beautiful cowl. This is the All Together Now cowl by Jamie Lomax, Pacific Northwest Designs. And it is another very versatile pattern. You can use 2, 3, up to 13 different colors for these colorwork stripes. As you can see, it's 1 by 1 stripes with a main color. My main color was Knit Picks Capretta Superwash in the colorway Kearns Hand Painted. And my contrasting colors were all leftovers from the minis that came with my Cozy Knitter sock sets when I used to belong to her Yarn of the Month club. I strategically chose the order that I wanted to put these colors in so that they would each kind of pop, and I was able to knit this using both hands, using one strand in my right hand English style like I normally knit, and then the other strand in my left hand knitting it continental, which was a very new experience for me, but I'm glad I was able to work through it and teach myself how to do that, because it did make this 1 by 1 colorwork go so much faster. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. It is very warm and comfortable and fits very nicely. I did do the straight version where you maintain the same stitch count the whole way through. There is a tapered version. And the other thing that makes this a very versatile pattern is that she does give you directions to knit this with DK or worsted weight yarn as well. I chose the fingering version. It had been so long since I'd done any kind of colorwork, and so I was really happy to be able to do a couple colorwork projects this last month. One last little look. She has you start with a 1 by 1 twisted rib, and then kind of just 2 different styles of stripes going back and forth with all these beautiful contrasting colors. This was such a pleasure to knit, and if you are looking for a really fun colorwork cowl that has lots of different options for colors, look no further than the All Together Now cowl by Jamie Lomax. She has all kinds of other wonderful colorwork patterns. That's sort of her forte, is beautiful colorwork motifs. Check out Jamie Lomax, Pacific Northwest Designs. Now on to my works in progress. My first project I'd like to show you is my March socks for the 8th annual Desert Vista Dye Works monthly sock club. I have it in my B project bag from MLD Threads on Etsy. I'm using a B Progress Keeper as a zipper pull, and then I have my Desert Vista Dye Works button that I got as part of her prize package. I think I will put that button on whatever project bag I'm putting my Desert Vista Dye Works yarn in for that month. What I am doing this month is knitting from her 2021 exclusive skein that I earned for completing her sock challenge last year. What she did is she sent us a sock blank. It was absolutely stunningly gorgeous. I've never worked from a sock blank before. I'll insert a picture here so you can kind of get an idea of what that looked like. It was both strands kind of knit together in the sock blank, so I did wind them by hand. I separated both strands and then I wound them differently so that the socks are starting from opposite ends of the blank. This sock is starting from kind of the cooler tones, the blues and the greens. And then this sock is starting from the warmer tones. I am knitting these in tandem. I'm doing 5 rounds on one, 5 rounds on the other every day. I'm doing these toe up, just a plain vanilla sock. I really wanted to keep it simple to show off all these beautiful colors. My ice cream progress keepers are both from Suker Miniatures, and I am really loving how these are turning out. I think I have 5 more rounds on each before I will start a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I want the colors to just continue as they were dyed, so I'm going to put in a Fish Lips Kiss heel as opposed to an Afterthought heel, which I often do for my striping Desert Vista Dye Works socks. This one isn't so much striping as kind of fading. So I'm going to do a Fish Lips Kiss heel, continue as far as I can up the leg, and then I will do probably about 20 rounds of a 2x2 rib for the cuff. I want to use as much of all these beautiful colors in each sock as I can. This is a pair of vanilla socks knit toe up in tandem using the 2021 exclusive skein by Desert Vista Dye Works. Next is another pair of vanilla socks that I started this month. I have this in my Alice in Wonderland project bag from Kitsch is the New Black on Etsy. Super cute. And here it is. I am using a 9-inch circular for this pair. You'll notice that I'm using different techniques for all 4 socks that I am knitting this month. This Shamrock Progress Keeper is from Sam's Tiny Trinkets on Etsy. And here's what this gorgeous yarn looks like in the cake. This is Hedgehog Fibers in the colorway Park Life. And it is a 90 merino 10% nylon base. And I just love how it is knitting up. I mean, so pretty with these highlighter yellow and these pink speckles. Absolutely gorgeous. I started with 20 rounds of a 2x2 rib, doing these cuff down. And I just finished my shadow wrap heel. I think I have 10 rounds down the foot. So I will continue down the foot and do my rounded toe. And then sock number 1 of this pair will be done, and I'll be very excited to cast on the second sock. I really love the feel of this yarn, and I just love how it is knitting up. It is so gorgeous. A lovely, beautiful green color for the month of March. This is a pair of vanilla socks using the shadow wrap heel from the Socksploration pattern by Denise DeSantis, Earth Tones Girl, knit up in Park Life by Hedgehog Fibers. Next is a pair of sleeping socks on a worsted weight base. This pair is in my Wizard of Oz bag from Donna's Design Shop on Etsy. And I am using my Ruby Slippers Progress Keeper from Bump on a Hill as a zipper pull. The yarn I'm using is called Zombody Over the Rainbow by Desert Vista Dye Works on her worsted base. And this is the first self-striping pair I have ever done on a worsted base. I am doing the Learn to Knit Socks pattern by Stacey Perry of Very Pink Knits, my go-to worsted sleeping sock pattern. This Rainbow Progress Keeper is from 3 by the Sea Designs, and it was part of the Yarnable box in March. I just finished doing the heel flap and decreasing the gusset stitches on this first sock. So I just have a few more rounds down the foot, and then I will do the wedge toe that she calls for. I started by doing 12 rounds of a 2x2 rib, just like I do on most of my worsted socks. And I love how these are turning out. Now I am going to just start the next one wherever the yarn ends. I'm not going to try to get these to match up this time. I think they'll be fine, whatever ends up happening. I love these zombie stripes with the other rainbow stripes. I might have to get this colorway on her 75-25 base to do a regular pair of socks with as well. This is part of kind of her permanent Wizard of Oz collection. And I am absolutely loving every stitch. As you can see, I am using double pointed needles, size 5. So this is the pair that I am using double point needles with this month, trying to use all kinds of different techniques. This is the Learn to Knit Socks pattern by Stacey Perry of Very Pink Knits, knit up in Zombody Over the Rainbow by Desert Vista Dye Works on her worsted base. The last pair of socks I am currently working on is a pair of DK socks. I'm using the DK Weight Vanilla Sock pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. I have it in this adorable bag from the Scrappy Thread on Etsy. And this time I am doing a DK weight pair of socks holding fingering double. The yarn I'm using is from Zen Yarn Garden on their Superfine Fingering, which is another 90-10 base. This colorway is called Tranquility. And it is knitting up very, very nicely. I love how it is looking. This sparkly green Progress Keeper is also from 3 by the Sea Designs and was also part of the March Yarnable box. I am using size 3 Addi Flexi Flips for these. So this one I'm using flexible double points. And I really love the fabric I'm getting holding fingering double. I think that's a good way to use up some more fingering weight yarn because I love DK socks too. This will be another pair of socks I wear to bed or around the house, kind of some sleeping socks. I did the heel flap and gusset, and on this one I am continuing to work down the foot. I think I have 15 to 20 more rounds down the foot, and then I will do the rounded toe that she calls for in the pattern, and sock 1 of this will be done. I am doing a little bit of a shorter leg. I only did 20 rounds down the leg after I did 10 rounds of the 2x2 rib for the cuff because there's only 400 yards total in this skein of yarn. So I figured with it in half, that's only 200, which isn't quite a full DK skein. So I just wanted to be on the safe side and do a little bit of a shorter leg. It will still be perfectly fine. Love this bright, happy blue color. And I'm excited to finish this first sock. This is the DK Weight Vanilla Sock pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, knit up in Zen Yarn Garden's Superfine Fingering in the colorway Tranquility. Next up are some crochet projects. Our theme this month in the Love and Stitches membership is to try crochet. I've done a few basic crochet things, mostly granny stripe and granny square blankets, but it's been really fun to try some new techniques so far this month. These projects I have in my Mary Poppins project bag by Fangirl Fibers. And one of them I actually did already complete. This is the half double crochet hat by Rhonda Mall of Umbaka Designs. I did the 6 to 12 month size with this using just the Caron Simply Soft in the baby colorway. This is a worsted pattern, and I am now working on one for myself. I kind of just have the top of it done. And the yarn I'm using is from Crystal Skies Hand Dyed on her Bengal Worsted. This is from her Harry Potter Club again last year. It is called Dirigible Plume. And I really love how it is working together. It looks very nice. I am using my Iced Coffee Progress Keeper from Bump on a Hill on Etsy. And I'm just going to continue working around and around until it fits my head nicely. I'm at the point where I've finished increasing. You do start with a double magic ring in the middle and then increase around and around. So not only have I never really done the half double crochet stitch, but I've never crocheted in the round either. So this has been a really good learning experience. And I love the look of this. I realize it's probably not going to be quite as stretchy as a knit beanie would be, but I'm still excited to test it out and see how it goes. I am using a size I crochet hook. This is just from my Knit Picks set. And this is a really fun pattern. It crochets up super quickly. I think I will gift this to one of the babies that I've got coming in my life very soon. So I'm just excited to have another fun pattern up my sleeve. This is the simple half double crochet beanie by Rhonda Mall of Umbaka Designs, knit up in Crystal Sky's hand-dyed Bengal worsted in the colorway Dirigible Plume and in Karen Simply Soft. My next work in progress, I am so close to finishing. I only have about 10 more rows. This is my Sleeping Baby's Castle blanket that I am knitting for my niece who is due any day now. I'm so excited to meet her. Here it is. Last time I was at my Progress Keeper from Knitty Witch on Etsy, so I hadn't quite finished the castle motif yet. So pretty, so fun. I just have a few more rows of this cable pattern to finish up, and then I just need to weave in the ends and block it. The yarn I am using is Knit Picks Comfy Worsted in the colorway Silver Sage. Really looks nice. I think this will go super nicely in her nursery. And this was just such a pleasure to knit up. I hope she knows how much love I put into this. And I am so excited to gift this to my brother and sister-in-law for her. I really hope that this is a blanket that she holds on to like Linus until she's 8 or 9 years old. I really hope that she loves this so much. This yarn is an acrylic cotton blend, which will wash very nicely, important in a baby knit. And I just cannot say enough about this pattern. I mentioned last time that this sort of cabled trellis pattern is pretty enough on its own to be its own blanket if you just wanted to use that stitch pattern itself. Check out the Sleeping Baby's Castle blanket by Sally Diane Rainey if you are looking for a very fun baby blanket to knit. Last but not least, I thought I would give you an update on where I am in my Chalography Shawl. This was the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West that came out last October, and I did cast on last October, but I never had any intention of actually finishing it with any kind of timeline, so I did just recently pick it back up. I have it in my butterfly project bag, very large, from Southern Sewn by Sharon on Etsy. And I'm kind of in the middle of a row, but I wanted to show you the progress I have made. Last time I had just finished these little loops, and so I have done these slip stitch columns. And then right now I am making these kind of fun little textured welts with my green color. Right now I'm actually using my gold. It's called Whiskey from Trilogy Yarns. I really am still loving my color combination. And I do like the texture that these welts are adding. I thought these were going to be a real pain, and they do take a little bit of time, but they're not as hard as I thought they were going to be. I'm actually really pleased with how many I've been able to do so far. I just started these yesterday, so I'm hoping to finish the rest of these welts in the next day or two. I'm really still not trying to give myself any kind of pressure. I just want to work on this when I have time and when I have the inclination, because it is all about the process with the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. It's all about trying different things and learning new techniques. It started here with these wedges again, and then some V's, these slip stitch columns, and then now these welts. I do feel like I have learned all kinds of new techniques knitting this. It has really been a good growing experience for me as a knitter. This was the first mystery knit along that I have tried of his, and I don't think it will be my last. This is Chalography by Stephen West. Well, I think that is about all I have for you this episode. Thank you so much for joining me and spending a little bit of time with me. I truly do appreciate it. It would mean so much to me if you would consider giving this video a like and subscribing. And as always, I welcome your feedback, so let me know what you think. You are more than welcome to leave a comment down below or message me on Instagram. I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. But until next time, be well, be kind, and happy knitting and crocheting. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.